At first glance, Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song Remastered offers less than many other titles that publisher Square Enix has repackaged for the current generation of JRPG fans. Its plot isn't as ambitious as those of more popular JRPG franchises, and this remaster features a complex set of gameplay mechanics that might put off newcomers accustomed to more accessible and conventional designs. However, that doesn't stop the experience from being rewarding and even deeply satisfying on occasion. Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song Remastered amazingly represents the fourth distinct attempt to bring this special experience to its potential audience. The game debuted on the Super Nintendo in Japan in early 1992 and was ported to WonderSwan Color in late 2001. In 2005, Square Enix remade the game as Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song, which was released in North America without subtitles, and now another remaster has hit the market. Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song Remastered story is set in the world of Mardias, a millennium after a war between gods has left much of the land in ruins. The heroes and victims of that war have retreated to the corners of the world to lick their wounds, as the glorious battle to seal away the dark god Saruman faded into legend, but evil rises again. Like other games in the SaGa series, Minstrel Song Remastered allows players to start their journey as one of many possible characters, with options ranging from an orphan with a noble past to a pirate with scruples. Their different circumstances and backgrounds are introduced, and then players explore an increasing number of cities, dungeons, towers, and other attractions that dot the map. Along the way, they can team up with many more of the main cast or get help from a supporting cast with more playable heroes than ever before. For the first time, it is possible to optionally add secondary characters such as Skeel, Marina, Monica, and Flammer to the active party. Characters fall into an assortment of JRPG classes, each with skills that allow them to use numerous weapons and their associated abilities. Provided the party has the resources, members can switch disciplines multiple times during their adventure, giving the player a lot of control. However, that freedom can be distracting. It forces players to develop and stick to a plan for progression, as it's all too easy to spend a lot of resources on a skill that seems extremely useful, but has little use. Monsters reward few jewels when defeated, forcing players to complete many side quests and hope for big rewards that may not follow. Players can also search for these jewels if other options fail. As if all of the above weren't enough on its own, Minstrel Song Remastered also uses an alignment system, similar to something players might have encountered in a Shin Megami Tensei punishing adventure. Some quests, locations, and characters become unavailable if the wrong actions are taken, or even if the correct actions occur, but not fast enough to meet the requirements. At worst, it could block vendors who are the only ones carrying certain components needed to upgrade armor and weapons. Players must then scour the desert for enemies to drop. This can have unintended consequences, as enemy difficulty scales with player stat gains, even if players throw their resources into the wrong ones. Since players can approach virtually every part of the story from so many different angles, and even miss huge chunks of it if they don't properly explore their options, the lack of tightly scripted plot elements shouldn't be a surprise. That aside, finding new areas, making the most of available resources in stores, and mastering the many systems that affect everything from exploration and combat to character development is a real treat. The longer a person plays, the more familiar they become with the game world, and the greater the temptation to venture off the beaten path and see what mysteries might lurk in that dangerous corner. Minstrel Song seems to have been designed to appeal to players who appreciate an immersive world where the storyline lingers for hours. In that regard, the progression is akin to something like the recently remastered The Last Remnant, an equally expansive adventure developed by some of the same talent. The game has some rough edges, but at least there are plenty of quality-of-life improvements in the remaster. They allow players to customize everything from how fast time passes, which selections are remembered and kept in battle, and how fast characters run as they explore maps. When selecting destinations, you can also see what items the available shops offer without navigating halfway down the map, which is handy. Players who enjoy the experience will spend dozens and dozens of hours traversing Mardias, even with a new Game Plus option that allows them to carry over some of their key achievements, so any concessions to convenience are welcome. It's worth noting that Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song Remastered looks and sounds quite good on modern TVs, to the point where it's often easy to forget that the bones of the pack ran on the PlayStation 2. The character models and their battle animations seem to have gotten the most attention, which is crucial since the game spends so much time shuffling players from skirmish to skirmish. On the other hand though, the backgrounds are a bit blurry and generic, but this makes the foreground activity stand out a bit more. The warped characters take some getting used to, especially during occasional story sequences, while the generally flat voice work leaves something to be desired. 3 decades after Romancing SaGa debuted in Japan, gamers around the world have literally dozens of great choices when deciding which JRPG to play next. Even if they've been exploring the genre for years, Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song Remastered doesn't have the high profile that would allow it to jump to the top of most JRPG lists, but its quietly immersive experience is a bountiful reward for those who try hard. Our evaluation, 3.5 out of 5. Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song Remastered is out now for Switch, PS4, PS5 and PC. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and support my channel.